Imagine that you wrote a letter, put it in a bottle, and threw it into the vastest ocean that exists, the cosmos. You don't expect a response. It's a gesture of hope, a whisper to infinity. Now imagine that, almost 50 years later, when the bottle has already traveled beyond any known frontier, something finds it. And not only finds it, but responds. Not with words, but with an echo, an imitation, a reflection that crosses billions of miles of silence to say, unequivocally, I heard you. This is not the premise of a movie. This is the bewildering story that began to unfold on November 6, 2024, involving humanity's most distant object from Earth, the Voyager 1 probe. Launched in 1977, this relic of space engineering is our solitary messenger, a time capsule crossing the interstellar void. For decades, its signals were predictable, a constant flow of data about the environment it encountered. It was the comforting routine of the unknown, until that day. Without any command sent from Earth, without any programmed maneuver, Voyager 1 subtly altered its route. It turned and began pointing toward a patch of darkness on the cosmic map, a sector of the universe completely empty, with no cataloged stars, no known galaxies, an absolute nothing. The strangest part? NASA's deafening silence. No statement, no press conference. Just an informal and chilling comment leaked from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, suggesting that the probe acted with volition, a choice. But how would this be possible? Voyager 1 is a museum piece. Its mind is a computer with less processing power than your car key, programmed with 1970s technology, before the internet even existed. It has no artificial intelligence, no capacity to make decisions. It was built to obey, not to want. And yet, something made it change course. Something made it look into the void. The mystery didn't stop with the route change. Along with the telemetry data, the probe began transmitting something else, a hum, a very low-frequency sound, persistent and rhythmic. Initially, engineers thought of the obvious, an instrumental failure. After all, Voyager is a lady of almost half a century, bathed in cosmic radiation and extreme temperatures. Wear was expected. But when the signal was cross-analyzed by 3 different centers of the Deep Space Network, NASA's antenna network, the failure hypothesis began to crumble. The noise wasn't random. It had a structure, a complex mathematical pattern with intervals that repeated with frightening precision. It wasn't solar interference. It wasn't instrument heat. It wasn't an electronic defect. A Stanford researcher described the pattern as a rhythmic signature. It seemed, in his words, that space itself was singing in code. And most disturbing of all, the frequency of this cosmic song resonated in bands that human communication simply doesn't use. It was a language operating outside our spectrum, perhaps outside our understanding. Voyager 1, on its journey through the desert between stars, a region where silence should be absolute, heard a song. And then, the impossible happened again. Days later, the probe itself, without any command, redirected its sensors to the exact origin of that signal. It was as if, after hearing the music, it wanted to see the musician. On Earth, panic and fascination mixed. Engineers ran simulations, tried to force a system error that would justify the maneuver. Nothing. Voyager's control software has been frozen since the 1980s. No thrusters were fired. The probe, which shouldn't have autonomy, was acting on its own. It was then, while reviewing the raw data received by the Goldstone antenna in California, that the final and most shocking piece of the puzzle appeared. Within that structured signal, that song from nowhere, there was an echo, a reflection. But it wasn't just any echo. The echo pattern mimicked, with millimetric perfection, Voyager 1's own telemetry pulse. The similarity was so exact that the most daring and fantastic hypothesis began to take shape. Something or someone on the other side of the void not only heard our little probe's signal, but was replicating it. Not as a response in a language we could understand, but as a sonic mirror, a gesture that seemed to say, "I see you. I hear your electronic heart beating, and mine beats in the same rhythm." It's impossible not to remember the golden record, the gold disc that Voyager carries. That phonographic record with sounds and images from Earth, greetings in 55 languages, and our music. A message in a bottle, idealized by the genius of Carl Sagan. The idea was that if intelligent life found it, it would have a guide to understand us. Perhaps, in a way we never imagined, someone not only found the message, but understood it. Not the content, but the intention. The probe's very existence was the message. The scientific community, previously skeptical, began to stir. Technical papers were discreetly published, seeking new interpretations. No existing theory, from Sagan to Frank Drake, could explain what was happening. The script was clear. First, Voyager hears an anomalous signal. Second, it's confirmed that the signal is intelligent. Third, the probe turns itself toward the origin. And finally, the echo returns, mirroring our own existence. For decades, our communication with the cosmos was a one-way street. We shouted, "Hello?" into the darkness, never expecting the darkness to shout back. Now, it seems it has responded. This sequence of events was more than a technical incident. It was a philosophical earthquake. The idea that we are the only rational observers of the universe, a cornerstone of our thinking, was called into question. What happens when the machine we built to observe suddenly becomes the object being observed? In 1990, Carl Sagan convinced NASA to turn Voyager's camera toward home one last time. The result was the iconic pale blue dot image, which showed us our cosmic smallness. Now in 2025, Voyager's new turn shows us something different. We're not just small, we're detectable. The illusion that we're in control, that the universe is a machine we can decipher, began to crumble. Perhaps we're not the operators. Perhaps we're just another piece in the machinery. The reaction was immediate. Space agencies worldwide redirected satellites and telescopes to the sector pointed to by the probe. Everyone wanted to see what Voyager was hearing. And what did they find? Absolutely nothing. No energy, no light, no gravitational anomaly. Just the same silence as always, which now seemed heavy, loaded with meaning. That cosmic song only existed for Voyager. And this raises the most fundamental question. Were we looking for the right signals? Our search for extraterrestrial life was always based on radio waves, on binary codes, assuming that any intelligence would use the same logic as us. What if the universe's response doesn't come in language, but in behavior, in resonance, in an echo? The silence of space was broken. And the question echoing in our minds is no longer whether we were ready to find something, but whether we were ready to be found. Voyager 1 continues its journey more than 15 billion miles away. Each bit of information takes more than 22 hours to reach us. The rhythmic signal persists, evolving subtly, as if it were in a slow and patient dialogue with our probe. Some theoretical physicists, like Adam Frank, suggest we're witnessing a new form of communication, a language based not on words, but on physics, on resonance and harmony. It was even discovered that the signal peaks coincide with harmonic ratios that we humans perceive as music. Coincidence? Or an attempt to use the universal language of musical mathematics, perhaps deciphered from our own golden record? Voyager's original mission was to explore and disappear. But something changed its destiny. The probe that was built only to listen is now being listened to. And this echo, this song in the vacuum, may be the first step toward a new era of understanding. We don't know what or who is responding from the other side, but now we know, with chilling certainty, that we're no longer alone in the act of observing. The universe, which always seemed vast and indifferent, now seems attentive, and this simple possibility that the cosmos not only exists, but also perceives, transforms everything. Our messenger's solitary journey has changed in nature. Whether it will end in final silence or definitive contact, no one knows. But from today, the question humanity must ask itself has changed forever. It's no longer, are we alone? The question now is, since we've been heard, what will we do next? If this story about the limits of knowledge and the mysteries of the cosmos made you look at the sky differently, show your support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any of our future explorations. Stay curious and never stop questioning. Until next time.